Welcome to Social 5 University. This is Jeremiah Stetler, your host and Chief Content Officer at Social 5. Today we'll be talking about one of those topics that is always perplexing for a new business that's looking to get into social media marketing, and that's really deciding where to devote resources to social or online marketing. They'll get the best bang for their buck if they do decide to engage in some content or paid placement of advertising through social media. So we'll go through a number of those. Here's some of the topics we're going to be touching on here today. If we can get the presentation to change. First one is understanding this social revolution and how it applies to your business, and really why it's important to select between different social channels instead of just saying, great, we're going to do all of it. Okay. The next one is the big 5 social channels. I mean, right now there are literally hundreds and hundreds of social channels that are out there and are available. But there are 5 that really have the biggest impact on the business world. And then lastly, we'll touch on some engagement strategies for some of the main channels that you'll look at. Now, Facebook and LinkedIn are probably the most significant ones to look at an engagement strategy on because they're 2 vastly different platforms. But we'll also talk about Twitter a little bit and Pinterest for those of you who are engaging in building your businesses on those platforms as well. So let's jump in and talk a little bit about this social media revolution. The revolution really is something that has really grown since the early 2000s. You'll see this chart on from the Pew Research Center looking at the adoption of social media over the years. Now take a look at this one. Currently, and this is as of September 2014, social media adoption now includes 74% of online users. That meaning that 74% of people who access the internet in some way use a social channel, whether it is YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest or Instagram or any of those types of channels. Okay, so, and you'll see that's fairly consistent across age ranges as well. Obviously, the youngest age range has almost total adoption of 90% of young people there in the 18 to 29 range use a social media channel, as compared to someone 50 to 64, that the adoption range would be 65%. So still pretty darn significant that we are seeing all age ranges interacting with some social channel. So the question is, this is what the social revolution looks like right now. You'll see a whole bunch of different icons. I just took a smattering of social media icons from a variety of channels. But there are, as I said, hundreds and hundreds of these. And they could be everything from Multiply, Skyrocket, Badoo, My Life, Classmates, all sorts of different social channels that people interact with to one degree or another, and they rise and fall. MySpace used to be the be all and end all of social media. Now it's declined from that spectrum. But a whole bunch of different types of social channels are out there today. So the question is which ones do you choose? Okay, and so I pulled up a couple radio stations that you'll see here on the screen. Old school, 1680 AM, the Outlaw 100.9, and then iKids Radio. And really what I'm trying to demonstrate is when you're deciding on a social media channel, it's very much like you're trying to decide which radio station you want to broadcast your message on. Which one will actually reach your target market. Now, if you're selling wine, you probably don't want to put it out on the iKids radio station. You probably want to cater to somebody else. Okay, and so each social channel has a very different audience, just like different radio stations have different audiences. So picking the right channel matters so that the right people are hearing your message. All right, so let's jump in and talk about specific social channels. And these are the big 5 that we talked about, with the first one obviously being Facebook. Facebook now accessed by 890 million people every day, with a combined audience of about 1.4 billion people worldwide. This tends to be a consumer-based audience. So if you have a a business that is a B2C type of business, this is a channel you'd like to be on. And honestly, regardless of if you're B2C or B2B, Facebook has become such a behemoth in the social media realm that you probably should have a presence there. Just as we would want to have a presence on Google and Yahoo and Bing and other search engines to make sure that we can be found. Facebook is a force to be reckoned with in today's environment. So it tends to be consumer based. Now you'll see that the highest growth rate is in the 25 to 54 age bracket. That tends to be trending older rather than younger, but there is a pretty even male-female mix, and it tends to have broad adoption. Unlike some channels like Twitter, for instance. Twitter currently has an adoption of about 28% of the population. Okay, so compared to Facebook, where if we look at the number of online users who identify themselves as having a Facebook account, 71% say they do have that account compared to 28% on Twitter. Okay, so obviously the Twitter audience is a little bit more specialized or niche than a Facebook audience. Okay, so Facebook is a great place to be in, especially if you have a B2C sort of business. Now, LinkedIn is where we get into the B2B networking. And think about this very much in the same way of a reason why you may join a chamber of commerce or a business networking group. This is a place where you can connect with other professionals. You can target people based on job title, based on industry, all of these areas. Tends to be more of a professional network, whereas things on Facebook such as some viral content. I think I always mention the Oreo cookies. How many Oreo cookies does it get to the moon? Because I have Oreo cookies on the brain all the time, and Coke, obviously. But for those of you who know me too well, but the post on Oreo cookies would play really well for any industry on Facebook because people are going to Facebook to be entertained. Whereas on LinkedIn, it caters to more of a professional clientele. Okay, tends to be a little bit more male centric. We're seeing more women on there as well, but it does lean as a male dominated channel. Then there's Pinterest, and this one's female dominated. Used to be, if some of you attended my webinars previously, I mentioned how women constitute about 72% of the Pinterest audience. That has grown over the past year. It now is about 85% of the audience. Now, you could always go to one of these niche channels like Mantrist if you want to have a more male-dominated channel, but that's one of those niche ones where I'm sure the percentage of people on that is probably 0.1%. Okay, but Pinterest is the third largest social media channel, strong in the female demographic, best for food and apparel and retail. And this is one where you do want to think about what your industry actually is, because if you're a politician wanting to be on Pinterest, maybe not the best fit as if you are an Etsy distributor or if you are running a restaurant. Those are ones that are a better fit for Pinterest. Twitter is more of a quick read sort of channel. It's like passing notes in class. It tends to trend urban, so businesses in a more metropolitan environment, whether it be Birmingham or Detroit or whatever it happens to be. These would be metropolitan areas where Twitter would resonate with people. Also, it's fairly even demographic spread, both in terms of socioeconomics with income or age range, professional class, but it does tend to be a more urban channel. Google Plus. I'll use my tired old phrase that it's a barren wasteland of social interaction. That still remains true, even though we are getting more and more people interacting on there with some of the changes Google has made to make Google Plus such a heavy review channel. We are seeing more of that. But if you're looking at local SEO or being found in a local area, if you have a brick and mortar business, Google Plus can be very valuable from an SEO perspective. I would definitely say don't make it your SEO strategy. Make it a complement to your SEO strategy. And then lastly, you'll see Instagram. This is probably what your kids have talked about. I've had to have talks with my kids about you have to get permission before you take a picture of your brother and sister and put it on Instagram. But this is a channel that tends to trend younger. It's a mobile exclusive social channel. Tends to be best for uh, amateur photos taken on a phone. Okay, not a great channel for a professional company like ours to come in and take over for you, but it is a good channel if you have the capability to take photos in store on your phone and post them directly to Instagram. Can be valuable for attracting a young audience. Now, keep in mind, tends to be more of a younger audience on Instagram. So let's, now that we've gone over those channels, let's talk a little bit about some strategies for individual channels. Now, one thing as we're going through here, you will notice on your dashboard that there is a questions and answers box there on the side of the screen. Okay, and so you'll be able to, if you have questions along the way, feel free to leave them, leave their questions there, and we'll jump into those here at the end. Okay, and let me just make sure here we have just a few little questions that are coming through. One question is some folks have had some difficulty with the audio coming in and out. Before we move any further, let me just make sure that people are able to hear the audio okay. If you can raise your hand if the audio is coming through for you okay, that would be wonderful. Excellent. I'm seeing hands coming up here. For those who are having intermittent audio, if it's breaking in and out, this webinar is being recorded, and I will be distributing that early next week to everyone who's on this call, so you can have that as a reference point going forward. So thank you so much. All right. Good. So let's jump into some strategies here for how to post on different channels. And we'll start out with Facebook. So Facebook, important to keep it social, not salesy. Now, this is an important tactic that the most effective strategies come through creating more of a personal, social persona, not salesmanship. So if you're thinking about going out and peddling your product on Facebook, putting up a billboard, that's not going to work. You're going to see more of a social erosion or erosion in your audience rather than growth in your audience. You want to create more of a positive persona, and this would be more like a Chipotle. So Chipotle decided to brand itself as being more of a sustainable, earth-friendly sort of brand on social media. That sort of persona has benefited them many times over. Okay, so look for ways that you can create a brand of your own. There was one company that we worked with just recently that was in the construction business, and so the areas you want to look for there was less about, hey, come and do trenching or doing construction with us, and more about some fun facts about their economy, about the markets they're in, the home construction market, and they also chose to do some things about cool things about the earth that they were trenching into or digging into. Okay, so some of those types of things can be great for developing a positive persona. The next one is spreading the word. Having a Facebook page is great, but you've got to tell people about it. Having a Facebook page sit dormant without you doing anything is like putting up a plant beside your computer and never watering it. It's not going to grow. Okay, so you need to tell people about it by sharing the page on Facebook, by telling your employees about it. Send out an email about your page. Get people to interact, and when they do come, engage with them. One of the problems we have sometimes in the restaurant industry is people will leave a negative comment about, let's say I didn't like my burrito or something, and the company will respond to the negative comment but not give thank yous for the positive comments that come through. Make sure to always engage in a positive way as well with people. And then the last one is reward participation. The secret behind social media is people need an incentive. They give away free stuff, make it fun to be a fan, and it can be a giveaway like we talked about. Some of you participated in the Final Four contest or in our Disneyland giveaway that's going on right now. Some of those things can be super engaging and build up an audience. But it also can be sharing some insider information. Okay, this was one of the reasons when I was in the newspaper business that we created blogs, so you could see the story behind the story, and we could build up big fan bases based on those blogs. Okay, if you can share some exclusive information there on Facebook, it gives people a reason to engage with you. Next, on LinkedIn, the most important thing is not content. In this case, it's connect, connect, connect. Don't let your profile sit idle with all of these connection requests coming in and never acting on them. Okay, so make sure that when people reach out to you to connect, that you respond, that you connect with them, or proactively go out and connect with people in your market, both geographically and in your industry, to make sure that you are building your audience base. The second one is thought leadership matters. So we talked a little bit about how, the number of Oreo cookies going to the moon. It's great on Facebook, not as well accepted in LinkedIn. We want to have a strategy that is more professional and network. Okay, that audience tends to value knowledge over fun, and this is a place where inside information would be valuable if you could share that. And then the last one is make connections count. Some of you were with us last week, or not last week, or during last session when we talked about some email marketing. Okay, one of the big ways that you can build your email marketing campaign is to leverage the connections you make in LinkedIn. All of the contact information for people who you connect with in LinkedIn is available. So think smartly about that. We can help you with exporting those email contacts, moving them more into an email marketing campaign for those individuals. Okay, so those are a few things to think about in LinkedIn. Pinterest is kind of a fun platform. This is one where you should probably avoid product and favor personality. We've seen some great success with people who choose like color boards, where maybe their favorite color is yellow, or maybe they have a strong kind of sports interest, or maybe they love basketball or whatever it is. Maybe that's better for Mantrist, I don't know, than Pinterest. But looking for things that will create a personality about your page helps out a lot. Okay, we had a customer once. It was a Mexican restaurant. Well, it was more of kind of a coastal, flavor of a restaurant, and so we did kind of a beach lifestyle where you had flip-flop culture, that sort of thing, where you create a persona. You don't want to use Pinterest under any circumstances to simply be a pin board for all your products. That's not cool. Okay. The next one is not only pin but repin. Okay. Original content is great. Okay. So if you have engaging photos or things that you can put up there, awesome. But repinning photos that other people have put up on Pinterest can be as effective and sometimes more effective than original pins. And the reason is this: every time you repin something from someone else, it tells that person that they have now been followed by your brand and gives them a chance to check you out as well. Your pin, as it's being repinned, now comes up as being searchable. They can find your board as well as the original pinner's board. Okay, so repinning is a valuable strategy. Now, that being said, you notice under number 3 of photo linking where possible. If you have photos that are engaging and promoted on your website, those are great things to promote on Pinterest. We had one dentist who is an amateur photographer and posted all of his photos from amateur photography on his website. In that case, it would make a lot of sense now to pin those photos from his website over to Pinterest. Now, every time someone clicks on that photo, they can go to his website. Okay, so that's a valuable way to create some cross-promotion of assets. Another way to do that is also to take a pin that you put on Pinterest and promote it out on Facebook. So you're cross-promoting channels. So those are some good ways to engage there with Pinterest. All right, next, Twitter. Twitter is, make sure to keep it short, snappy, and sizzling, okay? And the sizzling was just kind of fun because you want to make it lively and exciting, something that people want to share. You don't want to say, the details of an umbrella policy are, dot 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 with a link. Not cool. Not something that would make a Pinterest or sorry a Twitter strategy engaging. So be to the point. You grab their attention, post a link, and then get out. Okay, just make those fun headline attention grabbers to get people from a Twitter platform somewhere else. Okay, don't forget to use hashtags. These are the pound sign that we talked about in the Twitter audience building session a number of weeks ago. Nothing helps expand the reach of your content more than using hashtags, which allow your pieces of content to show up in conversations that other people may be having online. So research your hashtags and then use them properly. One of the for those of you who watched the session on social media fails or faux pas. One of the faux pas was using a hashtag of why I stayed, which was something that was for domestic abuse, but it was used by a restaurant to promote pizza. Okay, so make sure to research what the hashtag means before you use it. But effective uses of hashtags can expand the reach of your content. And then lastly, follow, follow, follow. Okay, especially if you're a young business or young on Twitter, you want to follow as many people as you can in your target market, in your target industry, and as you do, those people start following you back. One of the most effective growth strategies through Twitter is going out and you look for your competitors and follow the people who are following their competitors. Or let's say you're a real estate agent in Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay, you would want to follow the followers of the local zoo or local museums or people that would have the propensity to buy a house, but you follow them. Okay, so that's a key point for Twitter. So with that, we've covered some of the main social channels and the engagement strategies you need there. So let me open this up and see if you do have any questions as we come through. Of things that may help. All right, so I had a question of how to use examples of different social channels to promote a direct selling model for this is a company that specializes in greeting cards. And by the way, I love this company to death. I've received a number of greeting cards from some of you. In fact, I even received a box of brownies from one of you. So thank you so much. So I love send out cards. So question is how to promote a business in that realm than another one. And one thing I'll mention, this is the insider information for you being part of Social 5 University. Send out cards actually has incredible strength on Facebook. Okay, the engagement rate on Facebook, and this is fresh off the presses today. Engagement rate for 1,200 send out cards that are currently using the Social 5 service is more than 30% of an engagement rate. The average on Facebook right now, according to something we call the Agorapulse Index, which monitors just over 100,000 business pages to check for engagement rates. The Facebook average right now is 7.5%. Now compare that to 30% on Facebook. Okay, so in this case, and I'll talk specifically about send out cards for a moment because they have their own Pinterest-like platform. The key way to engage an audience in that industry is on Facebook with sharing cards. Okay, sharing an image of a card, full-size images perform very well, and linking back to your Pinterest-style page. Okay, so that's a B2C audience. Anyone who deals with consumers that way can find some great engagement that way. All right, so I have a question that came through of how to research hashtags. Really good question. And you know what? Let's see here. We're going to deviate a little bit here from the presentation, and I'm going to pull up just a moment. I'm going to pause the screen sharing while I jump over. While I jump over to Twitter for a moment. Okay, so bear with me for just one moment, and I'm going to show you where you do research the research hashtags. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen again. Okay, so you should see a Twitter screen up on the top. I'm going to go to kind of a home. Let's see here. And on Twitter, there is the ability to track trending hashtags. Okay, let me see here if we have. Sorry, my internet connection is having a little bit of an issue. I'm going to just refresh, and we'll pull this up. And I appreciate the question, by the way, because this is a significant one. Darn it, well, I may just need to tell you because it appears that my Twitter connection isn't working as well as I would like it to be. So I apologize for that. But what you'll see when you pull up the main page of your Twitter account, maybe I'll just let's go that way. Turkey. Oh well. Okay. Well, anyways, so what we'll do is I guess not do this one today. Okay. Well, good. So when you pull up your own Twitter account, what you're going to find is that there will be trending hashtags down the side of the page. It'll say the top 10 hashtags are trending. For those of you who go back to our Social 5 University page at s5u.social5.net, you'll see a presentation on how to build a Twitter following. On that presentation, I go through how to search for trending hashtags. They will appear on the side. You can search for them by geography, by state, by nation, and see what is trending. Also, one thing you can do is you can see my screen here. You could search for what is a hashtag for. What would happen if I pulled up insurance, or one that I love is LOL, or laugh out loud. Let's cross our fingers. Internet back. There we go. Okay, so LOL. If I search for this trending hashtag, now it's going to pull up all of the things that people have mentioned using LOL. So this gives me an idea of things that people are using that hashtag for. If I search for insurance, sometimes what I can do under insurance, sometimes I'll find other hashtags that tend to be trending. So in this case, we have insurance, but we also have this HITSM that happens to be a trending hashtag right now. Okay, so those are ways that you can research those hashtags. Okay, hopefully that one helps. All right, any other questions before we wrap up for today? Great. Hey, thank you so much for joining our webinar today. We'll be having a webinar coming up here in a half an hour on Mobilegeddon for those of you who are interested about how the changes in Google's algorithm for mobile-enabled websites could affect your business. But thank you, and we'll send out the recordings later on, probably first part of next week. All right, you take care and have a great day.